to a human I can depend on to bring me happy. Thank you, happy.
Trekkies, thank you for arriving at warp speed for another exciting season of A Captain's Log. I promise you, it's well worth the wait for what we have in store while you are on the shore for leave. Since we last encountered at Farpoint Station bringing you interviews from Star Trek's finest crews, let's also bring in the finest co-host both here and in the galaxy. I'm joined by the Lili Fox-Lim.
Oh yeah! We're both so glad to be back once again to raise the bar higher than ever. We have the longest season to date in store for you with twice the episodes and twice the star power. How's this for starters? Our very first 1960s original Star Trek series TV guest is this week.
You mean we have to wait all this week to meet our special Star Trek original series guest? But there's no proverbial green room for her to wait around in before you interview. You and Bryan are in the green screen room filming this show now.
Computer, patch into bridge controls and go to yellow alert. This isn't an on your toes because here comes the foe's emergency for yellow alert, Raj. It's great news. As Picard coined the phrase, stay sharp, everyone. This means you, Raj. Stay sharp and focus and don't interrupt me, little tin man. Trekkies. Every cliche origin has to start somewhere, and Star Trek provided plenty of fish in the proverbial sea of space for Captain Kirk in terms of attractive women. However, this one wasn't meant for Kirk or for Mr. Spock. We have April Tatro, the cat's meow of original Star Trek, on deck as our interview special guest here in a matter of minutes.
I concur completely, Lili. Although April only appeared for a short time in the final second season original episode titled Assignment Earth, she played the cat Isis in human form to get a rather emotional reaction out of Teri Garr's Roberta Lincoln character, and actually a no look at all from our beloved Captain Kirk and Mr. Spock.
Ambassador. Spock raised his eyebrow at Isis the cat. Then he forgot to Vulcan neck pinch Teri Garr's character Roberta in this episode. But they still filmed it, and both Kirk and Spock failed to see the beautiful April as Isis, the woman.
Right you are, Raj. A production gaffe, perhaps, that Nimoy Spock forgot to use his famous neck pinch. Have a quick look for yourself, Trekkies.
This is against the rules. What do you think you're doing? You're walking in... Send the police. 811 East 68th Street, apartment 12B.
Give me the phone.
No, get your hands off of me, you big jerk. Who do you think you are? Let go. What do you think you're doing, you big jerk? That's a big idea. Mr. 7, Mr. 7. Let go of me. Stop it. Don't go over there. Big idea. Get your hands off of me. I mean it. What are you?
The episode name is titled Assignment Earth, and while all of it takes place on Earth from the past, as Raj mentioned, we get to see a real-life historical set of buildings that define where Desilu Studios were right next door to Paramount throughout this episode, and how April's character appears for the first time as a human on a couch at the New York East 68th Street office. This address of April's character Isis in Gary Seven's office directly pays tribute to Desilu. East 68th Street is also the street that was home to the main characters from the Desilu TV show I Love Lucy.
That's so cool. And this is the most fascinating episode. Essentially, this season 2 original series finale barely feels like it's Star Trek. The main characters really aren't the main characters from our beloved series, but the main characters are Gary Seven, played by Robert Lansing, Roberta Lincoln, played by Teri Garr, and Isis, a black cat, and in human form, played by our awesome interview
Bridge
guest,
to Lieutenant
April
Commander
Tatro.
Lili Fox-Lim.
Fox-Lim here, go ahead, Captain.
I have a black cat with a shiny silver collar around her neck that's talking to me, and it belongs to no crew member. Fallbrook tells me that this cat's arrived from the 23rd century.
Yes, Captain, my apologies. It's our interview guest, Isis. She will turn into human form momentarily. Raj was supposed to inform you and run over my report on the pad this morning. Gosh.
Raj, as ambassador's assistant, you have a duty that needs to be upheld. Lili and I are here for all of the fans as ambassadors to all things Star Trek. We can't have our captain on this ship stop for a moment and not be informed of all the Trek adventures in the past or the future. So pay attention. Comprende?
Muy bien, Ambassador. I'm a failure. Or, since the Ambassador is now speaking the Earth language Spanish, Gato means cat, if you didn't know that. Speaking of cat, I retrieved Isis from the bridge immediately when I heard the captain in Fallbrook talking about it during his comms to Lili.
Mevyap! Raj, you have a duty. Use respect and don't back sass.
Raj, here you go again, starting off our season with a bang. Lili means business, as do I. Do your duty and fix this with the captain now. Please. Here on A Captain's Log, Lili and I are thrilled to introduce you to a spotlight on manatees.
Yes, BK. Manatees are vital to our oceans. So we want to inform you about this beautiful Earth species, as does Cassidy. Computer, open channel to Cassidy Baldwin. Hi, Cassidy.
Hi, Bryan and Lili. Save the manatees.
Like us, Cassidy is wearing the Save the Manatees Club t-shirts.
Yes, Lili, the Save the Manatees Club is a nonprofit 501c3 organization whose mission is to protect imperiled manatee and their aquatic habitat for future generations. The Save the Manatee Club has an Adopt a Manatee program to symbolically adopt a real living manatee.
Aw, be the friend he needs. Adopt a manatee. Thank you,
Thanks.
Cassidy. Bye.
Bye.
Have a great show. Bye.
Lili, you know your favorite Leonard Nimoy actually narrated the documentary Silent Sirens, Manatees in Peril back in 1980.
What? So cool. We always want more Nimoy, and what a way for him to lend his voice to such a positive program.
Indeed. Fans, we have one short news item to share with you this week. One of the 3 best Southern California Comic Cons for you Trekkies is right around the corner. WonderCon 2023 will be happening March 24th through 26th at the Anaheim Convention Center here on Earth, nearby in Anaheim, California. Organized by Comic Con International, WonderCon is the sister show to Comic Con, embracing all the main aspects of the San Diego Comic Con, including comics, movies, TV, animation, the Masquerade cosplay, plenty of Star Trek, and much more. Inside the Anaheim Convention Center, you know, that's where they filmed part of the Star Trek Picard's pilot episode at the Starfleet Archive Museum.
Oh, even cooler.
Yes.
Well, that's Cali. Gotta love the California Comic-Con conventions. You know, fans, Ian, our co-director and producer, attended WonderCon last year and met the Gorn from Arena. It was Bobby Clark. And Ian shared some of his time the last go-around with a cool story to tell at WonderCon. April Tatro is our guest, coming up next on A Captain's Log.
A Captain's Log returns in a moment.
Welcome back to A Captain's Log. I'm Bryan Kreutz.
And I'm Lili Fox-Lim. It became apparent several episodes into this show of the need and desire for us to discover that Raj must have an off switch. Like Data's off switch, this is as warranted as a soulless Klingon clone teddy bear named Kalis the Unforgettable.
You know, I knew you were up to something with your facetious smile there. So Raj, bad habit babbling just continues. You know, to me, this one went to a whole new level. Quite the perceptive comment on Raj's contentious behavior there, Lili.
Say goodbye, Raj. View screen off.
This is A Captain's Log. Our guest is another one of the best, April Tatro. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
April, please tell us how you began with an interest in performing and dancing. And did you first begin modeling?
No. I decided at 9 years of age to become a dancer. And so my teacher saw I had a natural ability, so she gave me free lessons, jazz and tap. And my parents paid for the ballet, and then she also gave me free acrobatic lessons. So I was very well trained, and at 9 I decided I wanted to be a dancer, and that's really what I wanted to do all my life. So the dancing came first, and then after that, I had girls backstage at the Sands when I was working there say, do something funny, put your legs around your neck, whatever. And so I decided to specialize in contortion. And there were no contortionists at that time, Circus du Soleil and all of that were not even thought of. And so that's actually how I got into Screen Actors Guild and AFTRA, was because I had a specialty.
Really? That's so cool. Thank you for sharing your background and how you got your start. So let's step back to 1968 and your role in Star Trek. Now, Gene Roddenberry initially intended for the Gary 7 character played by actor Robert Lansing and Roberta, played by Teri Garr, with Isis, a black cat, as an intended lead role of an unproduced spin-off of Star Trek. So with this episode you're entitled Assignment Earth, originally this was written as a pilot episode for another series. April, can you tell us if there was any talks around you as the Isis character being played or being involved in an ongoing TV series? And if you were offered the role, would you play Isis regularly?
Well, of course I would play it regularly. Hello? I mean, I was on for such a short period of time. At the end of the, the series I was on, at the very end, I think I was on camera 18 seconds. And all of this thing blew up. I had no idea. I was an extra. I went in, they glued the costume on me, they pinned it. That was most of the day was putting makeup on, doing hair, and pinning and gluing the costume on me. And pretty much I had no idea that it would turn out to be this, or signing at shows, this is really quite incredible. I'm very, very, very appreciative and very grateful.
Ooh, now when you were on the set, were you there with the lead actors Robert Lansing, William Shatner, Teri Garr?
No, not William, not Bill, just Teri.
Just Teri Garr, that's
just
cool.
Just the two of us. They had me walk back and forth, and then basically I was on the couch the whole time. And in between, they'd come fix the eyelashes on me and fix the whatever was, literally the costume was glued on me. So it was just a couple pieces of material and silver tights, and that was it. I didn't even know I was going to do it. I thought I was going in the morning to Paramount Studios just for an audition. I didn't realize, and there were a couple other girls there, they told them to leave and they kept me. And I had no idea really what was going on. I just knew that I was going to get paid $68 for the day and get a sack lunch for my part.
That's incredible, especially not knowing that you're going to be playing the part on the actual shooting day.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, no, really it was. And then of course, that day, William Shatner asked for my phone number and I gave it to him. And then later, another time he called me, we went out to lunch. But I was going to get married 2 weeks later. So, I thought, well, what does a lunch hurt? But anyway, so.
Oh, we love these stories that you're telling us. April, I have this question for you. So your career opened up many opportunities for you, both on screen and also as a contortionist. So can you tell us some of the most recognizable times that you were able to use your talents as an acrobatic contortionist?
Actually, I was just a dancer, and then I was working backstage at Disneyland, and Wally Bogue, who was the singer, or not the comedian in the show, we did the can, but he saw me backstage stretching, and he said, you're a contortionist. And I said, I'm a contortionist. He said, yes, you're a contortionist. So I just always stretched because it felt good. When I worked at the Sands Hotel, I worked with the Rat Pack. That was their hangout. And then, foolish me, I wanted to work harder. So I made $5 more a day. I auditioned at the Dunes to become a Rudis acrobat. It was a group from Australia, and they were all Australian. I was the first American that Tibor Rudis ever hired. And oh my gosh, that was hard work. At the Sands, I just walked around and, we just kind of did a little hop, skip, and a jump and looked pretty. Mm-hmm. Well, at the Dunes, I had to work. I made $5 more a day. Or a week, and we had rehearsals between shows. I went down to 99 pounds. I was wearing a size 0 because the work was so hard. My parents were bringing me up all kinds of malts and milk. They'd drive up from Escondido and give me bring me candy because they said I was getting too skinny.
April, you've had a long career in Hollywood after riding the crest of success on Star Trek. You were in featured-length episodes of Laugh-In multiple times, plus appearances in Wonder Woman, Matlock, Johnny Bago, ABC Network's Family Matters, that's one of my favorites, Ellen, Malcolm in the Middle, Days of Our Lives, the list just goes on and on. Please tell us about how Star Trek and your numerous appearances on some of America's biggest TV shows came about for you.
My agent would call me, and I was very fortunate because on most of the things I didn't even have to audition. They would just call me and tell me to show up, and at the time, of course, tell me what I was going to get paid, but it was always like Screen Actors Guild, what they paid for specialty acts, and that's what I was. And some of the things I still get residuals for. And now the checks are down to, they'll send me a check for a penny, if you can believe that. A penny. I have 5 checks in a frame that are for a penny. I mean, it's not even worth the paper to take them to the bank, right?
Right.
But, you know, I don't know how they keep, I don't really know how Screen Actors Guild keeps track of it. I mean, I was on Death Becomes Her, and that was, I mean, I'm still getting, I think that was the last penny I got. Because, but no, I'm very appreciative and grateful. I had an ability that I, you know, worked at, and I was able to market it. The photographic modeling, the photographers liked working with me because they could put me in a position and I could hold it, you know. And then that's how I got into doing trade shows, because they featured me on their brochure, seats for trucks. And the picture was with me with my legs around my neck, and it said, "You don't have to sit like this to be comfortable on our truck seat." And then the guy called me, the president of the company, and said, "You know, we'd like you to hand out the brochures at the show." And my son at the time was 3, and I was outside gardening, and these light bulbs went off in my head, and I thought, you know, this is silly. I'm going to hand out these brochures, and people are going to say, "Is this you? Can you really put your legs around your neck?" Well, of course. So I called the boss back. I called the president of the company back, and I said, you know, they're going to want to see what I do. And I said, why don't you just give me, tell me about the product. Let me write a script. I'll talk about it at the show. He said, "You mean you can do that and talk at the same time?" I said, "Well, of course." So that's how my career started, doing trade shows. Companies would send me the material on the product. I would write the script according to what I could do with my body around the product. And I did that for 18 years, trade shows. But then when Coralie would call me and say, they want you on Johnny Carson, I was on Johnny Carson 6 times.
6 times? Really? Wow, that's Johnny Carson's Tonight Show. That was huge, April. Can you tell us about that?
First one, it was where I got the idea of coming out of the bag, because I was the Johnny Carson art players, they called it. And his one skit was the fold-out girl of the month. And so I was the fold-out girl coming out of they built me a suitcase. But the suitcase was huge. I mean, it would look like more like a trunk. And so then I was on other shows. I thought, I'm going to go. I was on, you know, the hidden camera thing.
Candid Camera, I believe.
Yeah, I was on several of them. There were quite a few hidden camera. I mean, they had me in a bed where the bed collapsed. They had me, you know, and at the airport, coming out of the duffel bag, asking people to please help me, that my husband made me travel this way because he wanted to save money. You name it, I did it.
I've seen some of those Candid Camera episodes with you in them way back. They're so funny, especially when you're coming out of the suitcases.
Yeah, I have a lot of, you know, tapes that when they told me it was going to happen, I'd call my dad and tell my dad, please tape it. I'm going to be on TV. And my dad would turn on the TV. He was very good at taping. So I have a lot. And then I converted all the tapes to, you know, DVD, whatever you call it, discs.
April, you are so loved by the many of us in the Star Trek community, but there was a mystery for several years about your role as Isis on Star Trek as you were uncredited. Now, originally this episode was written by Roddenberry and Art Wallace as an unsold would-be pilot for a different TV series. But while human Isis has an alluring and bizarre moment, how did all the research and answers come full circle in 2010 when you were found by Larry Nemeczek as the Catwoman? Can you please share about how all of that came about?
Well, you know, it's very strange because somehow he found me, I think it was on Facebook. And then he, I guess apparently they went down and they found the payroll records. And that's how they knew, because my name was on there, because they saw that I got the check for $68 or whatever it was. And then he saw my name on Facebook, I think, and he contacted me and said, you know, I'm not a stalker or anything, but are you the April Tatro that did Star Trek, the cat? And I wrote back, yes. And so he said, do you have a private email that I can reach you, you know? And I said, yes. So then he emailed me and he said, could I call you? I said, sure. But then I got to thinking about that, you know, this might be some kind of a, you know, a scam or something.
Right.
And so he told me he wanted me to come to his studio and he wanted to do a blog. And it was local. It's right here in, you know, in North Hollywood. And he said, we've been looking for you. And I said, I've been here. I haven't moved. I've been here. He said, well, we thought it was somebody else. And she said, no, it wasn't me. And Victoria, what was her name? Victoria, whatever they thought it was. And she said to me, she said, I have brown eyes. She has blue eyes. Of course it's not me. So that's what happened.
That's really cool. That's awesome.
I had no idea. I had no idea that there would have been a spinoff. You know, it's like the story of my life. Hello, I've had a really good life. The story of I'm Laugh-In. I was on several Laugh-Ins and they were going to use me as a regular, and then they canceled the show. But I figured, you know, I had a young son and I was doing the trade. I was fine with the trade shows. And I was, you know, I've always been, I have a guardian angel looking out for me. I really do. Because I've been in some situations that were a little iffy, but I always came out on top. So.
That's so cool. All those years later to confirm that Isis was you.
It always works for the good.
Yes, it does. Now, color television was new, and many directors like Mark Daniels, who directed this particular episode, would emphasize light and color on someone's eyes, and the technique was very much remembered in your scene, April. Tell us about your Star Trek memories with that scene and being on set with Teri Garr.
Right. It was 1968. I know the date because I was going to get married 2 weeks after I did it. While I was there, I was a bit distracted because I'm thinking, okay, now did I invite everybody? So, you know, I was thinking about other things. So I was very distracted. And I knew Teri Garr, I didn't know her personally, but I felt very comfortable with her because my agent represented her too, but years ago before she got big. And then she got another agent. My agent only dealt with specialty acts.
I see.
And I'm very, very, very loyal. So I always stuck with her because I'm very loyal.
Wow. Well, staying loyal to one agent for some, it will give you longevity in your career. I mean, it was your career. What do I know?
Well, you're very cute.
Pretty amazing how you've been able to twist and pose yourself into that. I mean, there are some really amazing pictures of your posturing, and we'll show some to our viewers here.
I think they're all online. You know, I don't know. I don't even know who. Years ago, my son called, before this whole Star Trek thing came up. I mean, I didn't even remember the name of the cat. I mean, when they said Isis, I thought, well, I'm not wild about that name. But apparently, you know. But anyway, my son called me years ago and said, Mom, do you know you're all over the internet? My son is 52. So But this was years ago. And I said, what do you mean? He said, Mom, go type in April, your name online. And so I did. And I thought, well, I don't understand how they get those pictures or who puts them on. But I mean, whatever. I mean, it's fine. I mean,
That's so cool.
I'm a pretty open person. You can read me like a book. I'm pretty open and pretty honest. So.
Yeah.
Well, we appreciate you sharing these timeless stories and your thoughts about them as well, April.
Just very grateful and appreciative that, you know, I've had the life I have had. And any bad experience ends up to be a good experience if you just have a good attitude.
That's another thing Bryan and I have talked about in such detail living here in Southern California. Actors and people involved in production have such a positive attitude, just like you, April.
Yes, I do. I said.
A captain's log returns in a moment.
April, our last question for you, and I remember you told me last week on the phone just briefly about this. I read that you have been teaching Pilates in North Hollywood recently. Can you tell us what you're up to and how life is today for you? Maybe give us a brief description of how you're conducting this Pilates class.
Life is great. It just keeps getting better and better. I teach Pilates. I taught for 45 years between two colleges. I taught at Valley College and Pierce College. Right before the pandemic, I handed in I told them I wanted to retire. I mean, almost 45 years of teaching. I mean, hello. But then I also have a private studio that I decided I was going to kind of retire. But at least if I have a few students coming a day, I know what day it is, right? I have a schedule. And they won't go anywhere else. They won't. I said, to find another teacher. No, we want you. So I'm kind of stuck with the ones that are still coming. I'm stuck with them permanently. They want me to keep teaching till I'm 100. So maybe I will. We'll see.
Wow. I would never be able to walk that much.
My friend, her name is Sarah, and Sarah is younger than my son, but she's my best friend, and she moves really fast. And I thought, well, I guess I'm okay because I can keep up with her. So.
Well, there you have it. April Tatro. Fans, check out the Hollywood show in Burbank this summer on June 30th and July 1st at the Marriott Burbank. And also, it'll be this fall, October the 6th and 7th, same place, the Marriott Burbank.
Peace and long life.
Hello, happy, my old friend. I'm glad you've manifested yourself into a human I can depend on to bring me